First up, we have public input. Margaret
Text
Fonseca.
her to see what's happening.
Second.
My name is Margaret Fonseca, and I live at 16 Road. I am standing before you all to plead for your help in taking care of the zoning situation going on with the Northern Tree Service and the property owner of 12 Lindbergh Road, Dominic Pezzamente. My husband and I came before you back on March 11th to bring this to your attention and to beg for your help. All of you received packages with a glimpse of what we are actually dealing with by living next door to the tree business. Since then, things have gotten worse. The zoning issues started in August 2013 when the town was notified that Northern Tree has expanded and was operating a full-blown business in the residential area that we live in. This was also addressed about 10 years ago in the Supreme Court, at which time the Pezzamentes said that they were selling the property and the vehicles would be gone then. Needless to say, he never sold the home. I don't know why this was not taken care of back then, and right now I don't care who dropped the ball. But now this is of the utmost importance to my family. This situation has escalated to the point where I do not feel safe or comfortable in the home I worked so hard for. I suddenly hate where I live. I am not able to sell my home because of the tree business that is now next door to me. I'm stuck in this horrible situation, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Back in June 2014, the county court found Mr. Pezzamente guilty of allowing Northern Tree to conduct business in a residential area, and was given a generous 6 months to relocate his operations. He was supposed to be gone last Monday, November 3rd, but he did not leave. Instead, he came in front of the judge and flat out lied about being in compliance. I can assure you, he is not gone, and he's still operating his business up until today in the residential area that I live in. As a matter of fact, his neighbor on the other side of him is now allowing him to park his vehicles there. Are you going to go bring him to court too? The owner of Northern Tree Service feels he is above the law, and I truly believe he will not leave unless he is forced by a higher power, as it is obvious that he has no respect for the town or the county courts. I understand this process to follow. It has been a lengthy, drawn-out ordeal for me. I need the law to apply. I need this to stop for peace of mind and my family's safety. Please help me understand why the town is having a hard time enforcing a simple zoning law. I don't understand this. I just don't. I just want you all to be aware that this is not going away unless you do the right thing, as you good men should, and take him to the Supreme Court where the consequences will be greater than a fine. Because I could surely guarantee you he's not going to pay that fine, or you're going to have a difficult time collecting it. Please put yourself and your family in my shoes. What would you do? What would you tolerate? I am now forced to retain a lawyer I cannot afford because last Friday, Mr. Pezzamente has threatened to shut down my water again. This came 2 days after the charges were dropped, after I got him arrested the first time. So now, I have to take care of this, and I really don't want to deal with this anymore, and I shouldn't have to. I hate where I live. I just, please, help my family, the neighbors, the community. You guys got to do something. Something more than what you've been doing. I'm sorry. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, there's no reason to be sorry. I know we've been going through, I think we've all seen the tapes, you sent us the video, DVD I should say. After the other day, I know you called, I know you spoke to someone in my office. I made some phone calls over to the building department and found out there was I guess there was a 2-week postponement, but as of December 1st is when he is due in court, in town court.
Fine. I believe that's fine.
Honestly, I don't know if that's their finding or what, but just so everyone in the room does know, originally, I mean, we all know what's going on there, but it was he pleaded to a $1,500 fine and 6 months to remove the trucks and wood and everything else that he's running out of that house. If he did not have everything off there by November 30th, I believe it was that day, I'm not sure. But, I'm sorry? November 3rd, I'm sorry. He would have to pay a total of $10,000. That's why he'll be in court on the 1st. Hopefully, I'd rather him pay the $1,500 because then we know he'll be cleaned up. We're going to get to $10,000, and I can I won't sit here and make promises or anything else, but we'll do everything we can to make sure that you're not going through this anymore, because it is a disgrace what's going on there next to you. I apologize on
I
behalf
don't know when
of
I'm
the
gonna
town.
have water. I think he's gonna
Yeah.
shut it off. He's threatening to shut it. He told a police officer last Friday, I'm shutting that down, they're gonna have no water. 2 days after they dropped the charges. They dropped the charges because there was a mistake in the DA's office. They made a mistake.
What charges did they drop?
Criminal mischief. I didn't expect him to go to jail. I expected maybe probation to keep him in line, so he wouldn't do anything. But my order of protection goes away on December 12th. I'm not happy about that. The DA's office said we couldn't renew it. I can't. It's crazy. His kids are antagonizing us at this point. His wife chased down somebody who came to my house last Friday when they left. Chased them down like a lunatic all the way into Haverstraw, calling them names, telling them to call the cops. The cops were at my house this Friday. I don't want to bother the cops all the time.
All right, so
No,
let's
but if you do feel the need to call the cops, that's what they're
I
there.
have-
well, let's say he pays the fine. All right, so what's the fact of the matter is he's still operating a legal business out of a residential neighborhood. What is our responsibility now to ensure that he moves the trucks? Because you have a harassment issue, and then you also have a zoning issue, which are two very different things. So how do we handle the zoning issue is our problem.
Well, apparently we'll have to wait and see what the court date, what happens on December 1st. And after that, I honestly, I guess we'll have to just work with the building department to get something done. If we have to go to higher courts, and we'll do whatever we have to do, but we have to wait to December 1st before we do anything. I mean, as far as zoning, as far as your safety, if something were to happen between now and then, you make the call to the police department 100%. Yeah, but they keep finding them, but if the finding isn't helping their neighbors, I mean, that's not going to make your life easier or, anyone living around there, so.
She's right about getting harassed, because I was up there.
I've seen it.
I was up there last June, I think. When was it? When I came up? I can't see. When I came up to your house when they were harassing me, what was that, in June?
That was, about June when they
And
put
I
the
went up there
signs
and
up.
I calmed them down,
And he said as soon as he's getting us,
Something
he
happened.
threatened us, we heard it. I had that on video all around.
But
I
he
had
should,
cameras all around my
he should
house.
continue to be fined in whatever interval we have the ability to fine him and allow those fines to accrue. At a very minimum, while we're waiting for the court's determination. If he's in violation of the court order, then the court's going to have to decide how they're going to handle it.
Well, that's what we'll find out December 2nd. The court case has to come up.
Can we send somebody up from the other property, they're moving trucks to the other property?
They are. They park, I got videotape.
Yeah.
I can show you trucks coming in and out.
Oh,
I'm
man.
taking pictures, but I'm afraid to take pictures anymore.
No, well, I know
The
our,
lawyer asked me to get as many pictures because, I don't know.
I know our building department was up there. Our building department was up there on Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and they had seen the truck parked on the neighbor's lawn, or wherever it was, I don't know the
Right,
property owner. But then when they went back at night, I believe they moved everything back onto the property, or the logs and everything else. We're certainly going to watch the case on December 1st to make sure that gets through. But I will make certain that something is done between now and then, especially with your safety. That's the number one issue. I'll speak to the chief about it, and we'll certainly make sure that the number one issue is that you're safe up there and you're secure in your own home, or you're able to go outside and not have to work.
I can't go shop alone. I have to wait for people to meet me. I can't, I'm sorry, I'm afraid.
And, excuse me, you also mentioned with the order of protection, don't be afraid to hesitate to call the police at any harassment, because what that does is that documents the incident. So when you go back to court for a new order of protection, you have a document.
I do, but you know what, it's always falling in a gray area, I'm told. Like things that he does, he's smart, it doesn't warrant enough for the police to be able to do anything about it. One day I was driving down my road, and about halfway down, he turned up. I know he knows it's my car. He kind of came off, like veered over, speeding up.
Right. He's doing enough, but not enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
He's trying to.
And
There are signs facing our house with middle fingers.
I
you can't believe what this is all about,
I think everybody here, like you said, if I lived next door to that, and my neighbor was doing that, we'd all be upset, And that's why the court has to take, I know a $10,000 fine is a lot, but if I was the judge and he told me I'd hold him in contempt.
All right, if he's in violation of the court order, they can hold him in contempt. They can take him.
His father's name is on the property. His father's name is on the property, Dominic.
He's the one that's been showing up for court. Todd,
At a minimum, can we send the building inspector over to the neighbor's house as well and have them knock on the door and say, look, cease and desist in terms of, and then we should be finding this guy on an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you. Fred Marino?
I don't have a speech or anything, but I live on 18 Lindbergh Road, one door up from Margaret. And when I went to court on Monday, all the trucks were there, and we got up and Mr. President, we showed some pictures to the judge. He said, we're in compliance, Your Honor. Everybody shook their hands, and out the door they went. And on my way home, the trucks were still there. They were there on my way to court, and when I came home, they were still there. You know, so I just want to come in support of, I didn't want just one person from the street to be there, so that's it. That's all I have to say.
Well, we appreciate you coming out. Like I said, we're aware of what's going on too.
Yeah,
But it's nice.
obviously.
It's always nice to make, you know, to make sure that the neighbors are all back. So, Susan Figueres?
Susan Figueres, 87 Mott Farm Road, Tompkins Cove, New York. Today I got about 7 phone calls at home. They're cutting trees down on Beach Road. Unfortunately, I had ill parents. I do work full-time, although I don't think people know I work, but I have to pay my own mortgage. So I took the phone calls. I ran out the door to go to the doctor with my ill parents. On my way home, I'm driving to Beach Road, trying to see what the trees were. And I look, as I always do, at the Waldron Cemetery. We've got tree trucks parked in the Waldron Cemetery. And of course, I did a U-turn, it was quite legal, and promptly went right down the access road for the cemetery. They have driven over the graves in the cemetery, at the very far edge of the cemetery, up against the railroad track.
Who's they?
I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
And as I'm tromping around all by my lonesome, I call the supervisor who's like, I'll find out. Okay, that's legit, you know, I'll find out. It turns out, and I'm not quite sure because I intend to call the Public Service Commission commissioner. I'm done. It was apple tree trimming. Bernadette took all the information. Okay. They didn't have the buckets, but the big the big pickup trucks with the side toolboxes and nonsense, 2 different cars, nowhere to be found, and fresh cut trees, about 3 feet in diameter, okay? So as I tromped around, I hung up on Jeff, I called Barry Brooks, the president of the Sons of the American Revolution, and I said, you better get down here, we've got people in the cemetery, and they've cut a road in. Now, let me clarify that. When you take a grassed area and you repeatedly drive over it with a car or a truck, you get the ruts, you get the path. The path is cut in up against the rail. There is no way that there is a single entity with 1 inch of common sense that does not know what's in that cemetery. Because I have papered, plastered, nagged, told, and published how far the graves go in that cemetery. And they go right up to the railroad tracks. Now, when you get 20 feet off the rail, there are no headstones because the headstones have been knocked down or gone away. We know the graves are there. When Mr. Brooks came, we got in my car, drove further down the road they cut. And I halted at a point because I was not brave enough to continue driving, and we got out and we hiked until we found the men in the trucks. I asked for a supervisor. explained that they were driving over the graves of the people buried and that we objected to it. Gave them my name, phone number. I will send to Jeff the names and the phone numbers I got from him, from the foreman, and Mr. Brooks will do the same. This is Orange and Rockland, if that's who they were clearing the area for. That's who they said we think we're clearing it for, Orange and Rockland. Orange and Rockland's owned by Con Ed, so you can get into who's on first, what's on second, and I don't know who's on third, depending on who they want to blame. But it's frustrating, and it's enough to make me crazy. I would ask every single one of you to take 5 minutes tomorrow. I will send you the name and address of Audrey, I can't think of her last name, the president or the chair of the New York State Public Service Commission. I would ask you to write to any reporter you know. If not, I'll haul up a few names and explain that our Waldron Revolutionary War Cemetery is not a parking lot, nor is it a roadway. Go ahead.
Shouldn't we be calling Orange and Rockland?
Oh, I'm going to call Orange and Rockland.
They're the ones who pay taxes, who pay the taxes on that property.
I'd like to know exactly how much in taxes they pay.
Well,
I think that's a really good thing to know.
Is here, you can talk to him about that, but I think that if,
Well, don't you think you should tell us publicly, and then this way the people of the town know how much they pay?
I don't know. But should we be talking to them about work that they're doing on a cemetery that we maintain, without contacting the town and having an idea of what their plan is for that site?
Oh, I'll give them the same courtesy they gave us. I'll copy them. I'll at least include them. I will leave you to do whatever you would like, but you need to do something. You need to put it in writing. You need to publish it. You need to inform Orange and Rockland, Con Ed, Chippy, and CSX that they do not have the right to desecrate that cemetery. That's what I'm asking you to do. Write a letter, publish it, put it in the minutes, release it to the newspapers, and state, we will not tolerate the desecration of the cemetery. That's what I'm asking for. Not politely. They know it's there. We've got enough documentation in for people to know what's in that cemetery. And do I sound like I'm not compromising? Yeah, I'm not. Okay.
I don't want to be the bad, is this off again? I don't want to be the bad, I'm gonna give you a couple more minutes, but just, we're
I'm
going to do
done.
5 minutes, I just want to make sure, I don't want to be the bad guy until I get out there, so let me give you a minute or two, how's that? I know you got more.
What a headache.
Go ahead.
Okay, the trees that were cut down on Beach Road, we had this discussion, and yes, the town was contacted, and I don't remember what they looked like prior. I just wish we had better communication, because I'm gonna give you a little trail here. All winter long, the Stony Point website on Facebook and the Rockland County website had the most magnificent pictures of eagles. Eagles feeding, eagles flying, eagles soaring. Oh my gravy. Thank you, Cheryl. She wrote the most gorgeous article in the Rockland County Times. We've taken down some of the trees. I can donate $100 right here tonight to start to replant the trees. Eagles are a very specific animal. If you take their habitat, they leave and they never return. So I'm going to ask, maybe we can communicate a little bit better so that we look at the assets and the things that we have. And I understand there are reasons to take down trees and so forth. But the eagles are an untapped resource for the town of Stony Point, and we may lose them.
Thank you, Susan. Just, I was down, I took a ride down there after speaking to you when I was leaving work today, and I spoke to the supervisor as well. They came in my office and explained why they were taking down trees. I won't get into it too in detail, but for safety reasons, some of them are hanging over the street and whatnot. I agree with you 100%. While I was down there saying the same exact thing, it would be nice to replace the trees. Obviously, it's going to take years to grow to where they are. However, it would be very nice to replant in that area where they're taking them down. So I agree with you on that. So we will do that. and you could, I'm only teasing the check, but we're gonna do that.
I
Come
know.
spring, no, that's not what we're looking for. Come spring, we're gonna, that's certainly one of the things on our list. As far as communication, Mr. Brisson knew about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. You know, he's superintendent of highways and he takes care of the roads, and he points out the trees that are dangerous, and they go around town. So the communication is there. It's with an elected official that's doing his job and doing a great job, I might say. But okay,
But the people of the town need to know as well.
Susan, if that was the case, we have to, you know, every day we do projects around town. We cut trees down, we cut curbs in and everything else. So we'd have to hire about 4 more secretaries for Mr. Brisson to put out everything he does.
We have a website.
Yes, I know that.
There's no reason. we
George
can't
Botanovic.
be there.
George Botanovic, 597 Old Gable Road, and president of Space. Just like to mention or add on to what Susan said about the trees. You know, we had a lot of, Orange and Rockland has done a lot of cutting of trees recently. I was here at the last meeting mentioning it. I'm not sure how much the town board knows about that or whether it's shared with you or not. It seems like something that, I called the supervisor at the time, the Orange and Rockland supervisor about it. They claimed that there was a transmission line being put in from Jackie Jones going down Willow Grove Road, and that this required them to clear, I think they said 60 feet. So it's quite, if you go up by my house up that way on Willow Grove Road to the park, you'll see it's really quite different. I don't know, it seems excessive to me. I guess I'd like to find out, or I'd like the town to find out what other plans they have, because obviously you can't fix it after the trees have been taken down, but it seems to me, as a town board, you know, we're talking about wanting to promote tourism. The park is certainly an asset to the town, and we kind of changed the entrance to the park now pretty significantly. Maybe that'll look a little different once things start to grow in again in the spring, but it's a pretty severe cutting. And I live up there. I think it's pretty severe cutting. I told them about it, and they claimed that this was necessary because of what they call the transmission line, not just a regular distribution line, that this line coming down from Jackie Jones was a transmission line. But as what Susan was saying, I guess it would be good, in the case of the Beach Road, I got some phone calls about that as well. And it would be good for the town to, at least, if the town knew about that, that's fine. I guess Mr. Brisson was the one who requested it. But certainly every tree that's next to a road shouldn't be cut down. There's some beautiful roads that are covered by trees. I think one of the most beautiful roads in the county is the one that leads up to my house. I think Gageville Road is probably one of the most beautiful roads. And there are trees that cover that road. I don't think our objective is to try and cut a tree down that hangs over a road. So we should be thinking about what we have here and not allow them to just be taken down indiscriminately. Safety is one thing, but people sometimes term something safety because it's easy to do, and we end up losing in the process. The other items I wanted to speak about was the planning board, as you know, declared itself lead agency for the proposed gasification plant, and they sent their intention to be a lead agency to other agencies, so they give them 30 days to determine if they'd like to be a lead agency. There's documents that were circulated, secret documents that were circulated to those agencies as well. And being that the town wants to be a lead agency on this, I think it's really important that the town makes an extra effort to make these documents public in any way that you can. They should be up on the website, you know, so people can access them electronically. There should be a set of them, I believe there should be a set of them in the public library, so people, not everybody can make it to town hall before 5 o'clock when the town hall closes. Most people can't. So I'd like to set up a system at the beginning of this process where you're going the extra mile to make these documents accessible to people. I think it's fair to do that. You're going to have some hearings coming up. I do have some concerns that I want to share with you regarding the schedule, at least the schedule as it is set today, where you're going to have the December 11th is going to be the date when the scoping document is going to be finalized and then circulated, and then January 22nd, which is a little more than a month later, you're going to have a public hearing on the scoping document for seeker. I do not feel, and you know, I haven't seen the scoping document, but I do not feel that leaves really sufficient time for the public to review a document. It's a little over 30 days, but most of it's over the holidays, and people are busy with a lot of things. So I just would ask that we look at that schedule and consider giving the public more time. I know you want to move this along. I don't want to be in a position where I'm debating with the town about whether you're pushing this along. I feel we've gone into this, Space has been invited into this process, as you know, and we have gone into it with an open mind. We've met with the applicant. a number of times over the past 2 years, actually. I'm hearing it from other environmental groups, their concerns. I'm trying to maintain an open mind and a neutral attitude. I believe that you're working with a good company that wants to do a good job, but we're not coming out against this. I told him we would give him a fair chance to explain the project. I've asked the applicant to put together some kind of a presentation that explains what this is and what it's not, because many people think it's incineration, but it's not. I don't completely understand the whole thing, but I think it's something we have to do a little bit of public education, and I think to show good faith with the public, it's important to make the documents available, let people have a chance to participate. If you don't, I think you're going to find that people's reaction is going to be they're trying to keep us out, and then all of a sudden, they start to draw conclusions that are not true. I've sent a number of emails to people and said, look, first try to understand what this is. Don't come at this as if you're against it right away, because people tend to do that. Oftentimes because they're kept out of the process. But I said, this is an applicant, and the town has said that they're going to keep this process open. So I would like us to do that and demonstrate that we're going to do that by making these documents available and making sure that we give sufficient time for the review, the public review, so that the public can participate in the public process. The one other thing I want to mention is that the Public Service Commission is going to have a meeting in Albany tomorrow, starting at 10:30. And there's a number of items that they're going to be looking at, but two of the important ones, from my point of view, is the United Water surcharge, 60 million surcharge. As you know, United Water wants to pass along the costs that they said they incurred in the preliminary development of the desalination plant, which is shown to be not necessary, and the costs, many of the costs have not been documented. The Public Service Commission has ruled that United Water should turn over invoices that are going to keep us confidential. 38 million of the $60 million in invoices were not even documented with what they did, just hours and how much they made per hour. These were law firms and engineering firms. It's pretty outrageous the way they've racked up a lot of money that they want to pass on to the ratepayers, $60 million worth. And the Public Service Commission ruled that they should turn them over, but United Water has challenged that review and asked that to be appealed. So that's still in review right now. So the Public Service Commission tomorrow will make a determination about whether United Water should get anything for the surcharge of the $60 million or some portion of it. That will be determined tomorrow. The other determination they're going to make tomorrow is the question of need. The Public Service Commission staff has already recommended, with the approval of our Rockland County Health Department, that there is not a need for this desalination plant for at least 6 to 8 years, possibly more if we can do a better job of managing our current water supply. So we don't need to build this thing right away. It gives the county a chance to adopt better water policies. You know, there's a water task force that's been formed. I'm on that task force. Harry Cornell is chairing it. And the effort is to get businesses in the community involved in thinking of ways that we can reduce demand instead of building these plants that are so expensive and having to pay for them in the process, double our water rates. So we're working on it. I think we want to see the Public Service Commission do the right thing tomorrow and not give United Water any big part of that $60 million surcharge, and certainly substantiate the decision that this desalination plant is not needed and that Rockland County should be looking at more sustainable, better water management policies in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. And just on number 11 tonight, we'll be discussing a public meeting about, the case you get information out.
And George, I just want to commend you and the work that you've done and Space for everything you've put into this Rockland Water Coalition. This group of folks come very, very close to killing this thing, and it's this would be a very damaging project, not only for our town, but for the whole county. You've done a fantastic job being a voice for everybody here in Stony Point, but also for the county on this issue.
Thank you, Tom. Okay, that's it on public. Any purchase order request?
Make the motion to accept the purchase order that was sent in, just one purchase order for $2,958.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Order the bills.
Make a motion to accept the bills as submitted.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to order the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes. There's no minutes of meetings. Supervisor report. I'll just announce a few things that are going on. Next Tuesday, November 18th, right here in this room, the American Red Cross will be putting a free community preparedness presentation. Our emergency operator, Chief Stony, I think he's back there. Chief, are you here? Over here? put this together, so we're ready for the next storm or any emergency that arises, and that will be on Tuesday, November 18th, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, right here. And it's, I'll read it a quick thing, the American Red Cross has partnered with New York State to bring free information sessions to your group, community, or organizations to increase awareness about how to prepare and respond when disaster strikes. Preparedness will help make decisions during an emergency that you can keep your loved ones together, reduce your stress and uncertainty by learning preparedness strategies for you and your household. So anyone who's interested in that, please come out. And again, that is next Tuesday. It's amazing that all this, I'll jump to this one, it's next, before Christmas ones and holiday ones. Last minute shopping, our recreation department dropped the kids off at Rowe for Thanksgiving crafts. Wednesday, November 26th, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Pizza and refreshments will be served, so you can get out early shopping. That's not really early, I guess. Breakfast with Santa is, and again, I just want to, we'll have one meeting before this. December 14th is 9:30 at Clubhouse at Patriot Hills. You can pick up this flyer right out in the back here, I believe, or on the way out, or you can get it on our website at townofstonypoint.org, because I know that goes very fast, so you want to get that in fast. Our holiday lighting ceremony will be on December 1st, which is a Monday, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock right at Kirkbride Hall. We've already started putting our lights up. We didn't light them yet, but we're getting them ready. It's going to be beautiful. Then we're also having a Town of Stony Point Holiday Boutique, Ladies Night Out, Friday, December 5th. When that is at Kirkbride Hall at 6 o'clock as well. There'll be jewelry, pocketbooks, Tupperware, candles, you name it, it's there. And lastly, Town of Stony Point's Drop and Shop. What did I read for the Okay. Town of Stony Point's Drop and Shop, last minute shopping, drop the kids off for pizza, December 18th, last minute before the holidays. I just wanted to make one more mention that finally we had some problems with the restrooms that we were building up here, and on November 21st, the asbestos will be removed. Keep our fingers crossed to make sure that happens, so we're moving along there. And also I wanted to mention someone who was in the back of the room here today. It's a gentleman who did a project for us. He came into my office some way back, months ago, and wanted to do a project for he's a Boy Scout, wanted to do a project in the town and was looking for something to do. And I remember meeting with many seniors. After Storm Sandy, we lost our bocce ball court and our benches, stuff like that down at Clark Park. So we thought it would be a great idea, and Danny stepped up, got his team together, did a great job. I told him I would have embarrassed him, but I am, because he's here for something else. But I just wanted Danny to stand up, give a wave, and let's thank him. We do have a few more projects that we have being done through town with Eagle Scout projects, and we're going to bring everyone in together within the next month or two when the other projects are finished. And lastly, yesterday, we're holding our meeting here today because of yesterday with the holiday of Veterans Day. I wanted to close this meeting in honor of all our veterans at Stony Point here for the great work and providing us with what we have in this world today. So if there's any veterans out here, we thank you. On behalf of the town, we thank you. And today we'll be closing the meeting in your honor. Thank you very much. Okay. Police Department report, Chief. I agree with that.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. You should have before you the police department report for the month of October 2014. Number of calls for service, 745. Number of reported accidents are 30. Number of arrests were 47. Felonies, 32 misdemeanors and 14 violations. Fuel usage is 1,460 gallons. 166 traffic enforcement summonses. We had 7 youth officer sponsored events. We held 5 North Rockland Youth Academy classes. We conducted 2 lockdown drills at the Stony Point Elementary and Farley School. Conducted a recreation night with the recreation department on the Kirkbride, and assisted them with also the town Halloween event. We continued our regular checks to schools. In upcoming events, I just wanted to note that December 7th we'll have our 25th anniversary. We started the senior brunch at the Patriot Hills. So December 7th at 11 o'clock at Patriot Hills for our senior citizens. So come on in. enjoy. Child safety seat installations, we've had 4 of those. We ran 1 commercial vehicle enforcement. We ran 5 DWI enforcement details, 176 hours of training, and fees collected $113. It's a report for the month of October. And for you, my timesheet.
I'll make the motion to accept Chief's timesheet as submitted.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Chief, thanks.
You should also have in front of you the department overtime report, the sick leave reports for the month.
Make a motion to accept both reports as submitted.
Second motion.
Okay, there's both, motion on both of them? Motion and a second on both reports, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, next I have for you is some funding. It's from Stop WI. It's a reimbursement in the amount of $1,155.42. I ask for permission for the supervisor to sign this agreement. This was for a Halloween enforcement crackdown event we participated here in Rockland County with the other departments. This is covered through the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee that we participate in.
Be happy to sign. You need a motion, there's 2 of us, yeah. Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Lastly, we received correspondence from the Grand Fondo event. It is May 17th, 2015. They start early to get permissions from all the different authorities and communities that they deal with and Palisades Park System. Nothing appears to be changed. Sergeant Hylas handles this. He's met with them. They've gone over last year's event, what worked, what didn't. So pretty much it looks like it's going to stay on track. There won't be any changes from that. They've been a good partner. We've had this event come through. They very promptly pay their bill, oftentimes ahead of time, and we have no issues, so I have no reason to tell you not to approve this to go on. Again, that's May 17th, 2015.
I know we did have this, I spoke to you earlier.
It's actually on.
We had it on our agenda, so we'll get this out of the way now. You want to do a vote on it now?
If that's good for you, you have it as number 10 on your agenda.
Yeah. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second discussion for the Grand Fondo. That is not on Mother's Day, correct?
It's not. It is during police week, even though we keep trying to ask them to move it, but unfortunately they can't seem to make it.
Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. You have item number 3 on the agenda, so I'll come back after that. Thank you.
Chief, if you'd like to say that right now, we can jump right to 3 if you like.
Sure.
I know we do have the sign law, but we're just going to open that in a minute, but we'll just get this. And just before we go any further, I just want to make sure anyone who turns around and gets excited, that clock is an hour fast. I don't want anybody to think we hear that. I just realized it myself.
Let's play with our emotions like that. Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, we received, as we've spoken about in the past, we received correspondence from the County of Rockland Department of Personnel. It states, we are pleased to inform you that the following police officer, Spanish-speaking candidate, is qualified and on the required medical, physical fitness, psychological examination, fingerprint, and also the Spanish proficiency. And his name is Daniel O. Hylas. I spoke to you in the past about this. This is a 2013 position that was budgeted, that I've asked your permission to fill. And at this time, I would like to ask that you appoint Daniel O. Hylas to the position of Spanish-speaking officer full-time with an effective date of December 1st, 2014, as per your wishes.
Okay, I just want to make sure, I want to explain one thing to the job that we've done over the last, year and a half or so, of having 3 officers retire in 2013. 3 police officers have retired. We replaced 2 of them so far. This will be the 3rd replacement, as the chief has just stated, that it is a budgeted position, and it would be my honor to appoint Daniel O'Hilas as Stony Point Police Officer effective December 1st of 2014.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Will we do a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Council, Mr. Vasili?
Yes.
Mr. Janice?
Yeah.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Definitely yes.
Supervisor Finn?
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Hadas. Photographers here, hold on. Where do you want? Over there?
Yes, why don't you take a moment to chief and
Better go way back. Professional. 1, 2, 3. Again. Great.
Jim, wait, can we get mom up here? Let's go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That all saves the budget? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. White just stepped out to the restroom for a moment, so we're going to give it a second, but at this time, we'll just jump right to the public hearing. I didn't say the budget, I said the public hearing. Yeah, the budget, Mr. White will tell him the budget just passed.
I still ready to leave after the meeting.
Okay, the continued public hearing, which we will keep open even after today. This is for the sign law. I don't think there's much to talk about, at least I'll just make a few comments that I have right now. I'm still waiting on a few, there was a few gentlemen here last month or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, and we are expecting a few more things to come in. I've asked for photos, I've asked for information, I've asked for other towns, and I'm still awaiting that. I know I was supposed to have it by today. It may have been sent after I left my office, if I could look, but I'd really like to do a little more study on it. So I'm going to suggest that we keep the public hearing open unless someone wants to talk from the audience or someone from the board as well has anything to say. Is there anyone from the audience that has anything to say? Okay, so we're going to keep that open, continue to keep that open. So. Okay, number one is we have the planning board position coming up that takes, this 31st of December. And I know this gentleman, excuse me, like to be put up for reappointment, I believe.
Yeah, I'll nominate, nominate Mike Puccio.
Okay.
I'll second the nomination of Mike Gucci.
There's been a motion and a second to reappoint Michael Puccio to the planning board. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is the zoning board of appeals, which there is a member coming up, and I'm not exactly sure. I think we're going to look for resumes right now. We're not sure if this gentleman's, we haven't received anything yet. And I will make a motion that we hold this over to the next meeting. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Next, we'll table it.
We'll table this to the November 25th? No, next meeting, thank you. Number 3 is Number 4 is Letchworth redevelopment property. I believe Mr. Stock is here, our town planner.
Hello again. Hello. This is the third time I've appeared before you on the Letchworth Village site. As you recall, the first time we introduced the concept of the law to the board. We then held a special informal public hearing where we brought it to the public and received comments back from that. We discussed it again before the board. And what we're doing here is, in order to further this process, there are some procedural steps that this board has to take. They include declaring itself lead agency, classifying the action as type 1 due to its proximity to parkland and to the Palisades Parkway, which is considered a historic district. I have prepared a Part 1 environmental assessment form, which details the project attributes. The project attributes for zoning is very easy to do because essentially it is a planning or zoning action. And so you're sort of skipping through a lot of the development questions and just providing information on page 8, I'm sorry, on page 13 of the EAF. However, I've also prepared a Part 2 of the environmental assessment form that indicates what potential adverse impacts may occur. I have identified several, and they are addressed in a Part 3 EAF. The items that were identified were visual impacts. If this is a gateway to the town, it certainly has a lot of character currently. And so what I've cited here in consideration of these impacts is the law itself has several attributes that are intended to protect against visual impact. And this has to do with limitations on the height within the current height of the existing Kirkbride Hall, maintaining views of the Kirkbride Hall, limiting development within the vicinity of Willow Grove Road. Also requiring design guidelines that require incorporation of some of the architectural themes that are prevalent throughout the Letchworth Village site. The second impact that I identified was potential impacts on historic preservation. I have provided for your consideration the fact that this particular site isn't going to be visible per se from the historic resource, which is the Palisades Parkway. Additionally, in terms of these buildings which aren't listed but are deemed eligible for listing on a state or national register, you've already saved the clubhouse. This has an active use, although it is part of the district. And the law requires the preservation of Kirkbride Hall, and it provides a mechanism that encourages the reuse of these structures adaptively by making an easier path to approval if you're going to reuse a structure rather than demolish a structure. With regard to loss of recreational resources, I have put a consideration here that any loss of recreational resources will require affirmative action by the state legislature, And in almost every case, it will require the town to provide mitigation area, at least in a 1-to-1. So if you are in the position to offer a prospective developer portions of any of the recreational lands here, you will be expected to mitigate them by providing equal lands elsewhere.
They don't have to be contiguous with this, they could be elsewhere in the town.
They could, if you take obviously land from the golf course, I think it likely will be contiguous because you're going to be affecting the area of play, so you would have to probably do contiguous. But if it was, for example, this building that a developer wanted, there is a possibility to provide a senior center or other facilities elsewhere in the town.
But this building is considered recreation space?
It depends what monies you've taken to develop this building. That would have to be something that you investigate at the time that a developer was interested in developing it. If you've taken grant money from the Office of Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation.
For the purposes of this building?
For the purposes of renovating this building, yeah. It would probably be considered recreational land.
We have. That's straight from out of the PRHP.
Another impact that was identified was sky glow and the potential for sky glow to be brighter than the surrounding area. We've put in provisions in this law that require certain lighting that will be night sky friendly. Another potential impact is sharp contrast with the surrounding area. I think that one of the things we talked about is how this area has always been in sharp contrast with the surrounding community. And really, the idea is not necessarily to be conforming with what's surrounding, but to replicate what's here now. And that, again, is accomplished through design guidelines and some of the bulk requirements. So if you agree with the assessment of impacts, I've also provided the page that the supervisor would sign as a declaration of non-significance. At this phase of the project, it is my recommendation that you forward the study, the proposed local law, this EAF, to the planning board and to Rockland County Planning for their recommendations. They will have at least 60 days to issue their Rockland County has 30 days. I believe the planning board is 60 to give you their recommendations. I'm sure they will provide them back in a much more expedited fashion. And then we would be in a position to open a public hearing on this, hopefully in December. This will be the formal public hearing where the public will have a complete accounting of the action, can give you their final recommendations. There are a few issues that were left open-ended at the last meeting with regard to whether or not to limit certain uses to the Wilbur Hall, whether or not to allow the gas station. These things the town board will have to decide at that meeting before moving ahead with the adoption of the law.
Two questions for you. And Max, you're doing a great job, and the impacts that you cite, it's a good list. Is there, you said there's a recommendation in there that nothing get built on this site that is taller than Kirkbride is presently?
We have set the height at 4 stories. And the idea was Kirkbride Hall is really 2 stories.
Right.
It's a very tall 2 stories
Right.
with the cathedral ceilings on the second. But really it has more to do with the way the land slopes. So the land comes up pretty rapidly from Willow Grove and then plateaus out. So the idea that is if you build something behind Kirkbride, you're not going to be able to see the bottom section of that building from Willow Grove Road.
Right.
So even if you limit it to 4 stories, you're never going to see the 4 stories from Willow Grove.
Right.
You'll probably see 3, and depending if it goes further back, it'll be even
But
less.
this isn't a situation where, we've talked a lot about the hospitality industry, where we are going to pitch this property and saying, well, you build a hotel, but it can only be 4 stories tall, or it can only be 3 stories tall, or cannot be taller than the building on Kirkland, right? I mean, because that is going to significantly cut down on ability give a complex the number of rooms that it would need in order for it to be commercially viable, right?
Correct. Well, there is a provision in here that limits the maximum height of a hotel to 4 stories with no more than 3 visible from Willow Grove Road. That was intended to make the scale more consistent with the current architecture. If that's something that you want to consider higher, we certainly could. I think that we would want to probably take a look.
I think we need to look at comps. I mean, we need to look at what, particularly in that industry, what they're building. Because for us to come in much lower than that, we're gonna put ourselves completely out of that market right off the bat. And we have to be careful. And by the way, I completely agree there needs to be a height restriction on the buildings. But there could be a big difference in 3, 4, or the height in terms of the feet on a building and how the building is designed and everything. So
I think, again, when you're talking about the type of hotels that you're seeing built, I'm not saying we're limiting this, to these type of hotels, but you look at the Holiday Inn Express, you look at the Hampton Inn, you're looking at that sort of mid-level series of hotels, you'll find that they're all being built in the suburbs at 4 stories because there are advantages in the building code to doing that. When you go to 5 stories, construction becomes much more costly. You're not allowed to do wood frame, for example.
No, but for instance, there's 4 stories and then there's 4 stories. You can have a 4-story building that's 45, 50 feet tall. You can have a 4-story building that's taller than that, shorter than that. I mean, it depends on how far your floor plates are. So it's about the stories, not about the feet in terms of height.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, so what we have said here is 4 stories with 3 visible from Willow Grove. And I think that's probably going to be what you're going to see if you're looking at something that's going to be developed, again, behind Kirkbride Hall. Right. You're not going to see the bottom story.
No, you're not going to see that. That's right.
What is our emergency services, what do they, if they have something to say about this, like, should we be checking with the fire department or the police department and see what they...
You can certainly refer this to them if that's some input that you'd like, in addition to the planning board. That wouldn't be unreasonable, and I could provide them copies.
You also mentioned, Max, something along the lines of there would be an easier path to approvals if the applicant wanted to keep the buildings as opposed to demolishing them and building something new. Explain that to me, because it sounds like if somebody does want, if this doesn't work for somebody, not saying this building, but any of the buildings, it sounds like we're kind of putting up an impediment. We're erecting an impediment to them
well, right now,
doing what they want to do.
without this law, if somebody wanted to reuse any of these buildings, it would likely require site plan review by the planning board. What we're doing here is saying if somebody wanted to take one of these buildings and use it for offices, or use it for a restaurant, or use it for film production studios, some of those type of uses where you don't need to modify the building, you don't need to build a big parking field, it's a turnkey operation.
Right.
We're letting them go to the building department and get a permit.
Okay.
We're not requiring them to come to the planning board.
Okay, all right, now that does make
So
sense.
it gets rid of the site plan approval, basically.
That is correct.
All right.
Because they're not modifying the building, they're just adapting it to a new use.
Okay.
Anybody else, Max? So Max, what you're asking, we have a resolution in front of us here today relating to the initial review under the State Environmental Quality Review Law, proposed local law entitled, a local law amending the town zoning ordinance regarding the Letchworth Village redevelopment incentive overlay district. I'm going to just read the 4. Town board hereby determines that the action is subject to seeker. Town board hereby determines that the action does not involve a federal agency and does not involve other agencies. The town board hereby makes a preliminary classification of the action as a type 1 action, and the town board hereby determines that it is and will be the lead agency with respect to the adoption of and approval of the above described local law.
That's correct.
Give or take.
Yes.
Give or take, because that's the 4 main things that I need to put into this motion here, correct?
Additionally, you want to adopt the Part 1, 2, and 3 EAF, the negative declaration of environmental significance, and refer it to the planning board and Rockland County Planning.
Okay. I'll make that in the form of a motion of the first four and the adoption of 1, 2, 3 AF, refer to the Stony Point Planning Board and the Rockland County Planning Board, correct?
Correct.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second, I'll get you the exact writing, but you have it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There is a blank left in the resolution.
There's what, Joe? Public hearing?
Hold it.
Oh,
There is a reference to the above described proposed local law showing how
well, we're gonna set, we want to set a public hearing for December, you said?
You could, I believe the planning board is scheduled their meeting on the 11th. I imagine they will make their recommendation to you on that date. So I don't know when your second December.
There's only one in December, because it falls on this week, so it probably would have to be the first of January.
So that would be fine if you wanted to do it first of
Do you want
January.
to make, when we put that in the
well,
motion?
it's
Okay, well, this is the resolution, but we should add that one thing at the end.
Yeah,
You could set the date for the first January meeting would be the public hearing.
and I'll work with Joan, I'll get her all the paperwork in order to send to the county and the planning board.
John, I see you raising your hand. We're going to have a public hearing on it, but I have a question for Max. Go ahead.
Just a quick one.
Yeah.
It's 4 stories, but what is it in actual feet?
We had not established a foot requirement as part of the zoning. Now, any application would have to specify that. And again, I want to clarify that we're doing the seeker for the zoning on a generic basis. When somebody comes in, they still have to do seeker on a site-specific basis.
Because, I mean, you mentioned that Kirkbride Hall is a 2-story, but it's a tall 2-story.
Yeah, I'm
Somebody comes
thinking
in
it's
and
about
says,
45 feet.
Here's 4 stories, but all of a sudden it's 50 feet or 60 feet. There doesn't seem to be a statement of what the requirement is for the 4-story height. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Now, that is something that I did intentionally, leaving it as stories,
Right.
because I felt that if it's a hotel, they have a standard, it's going to be something, they're gonna have to do the visual impact when they come to the planning board.
Right.
Yeah.
And it still has to come in with site plans and everything.
And the public will have an opportunity to comment on that as well at that time.
Right. And again, there's nothing in front of us right now, so we're getting this ready, so it'll be a little quicker. to
It's just
move
that
on.
down,
Sure.
in Dewey Beach, Hyatt Place went in with a hotel, and they made them change it. The height was 35 feet, and it's a 4-story. Just share it.
Max, can I ask you?
Thank you.
And this is just, like the Pearl River Hill, how many stories is that? Does anybody know? I mean, is it 5, 6, 4?
Where?
Pearl River Hill, does anybody know? The Blue Hill? I think that's actually 6. Oh, okay. I was just curious, because, I mean,
It's more than
we
4.
can pick that up moving here.
But I can't tell you.
That's even shadowy.
Okay. Thank you, Max, we appreciate it. Next up, we have the surplus of a 2010 turf utility golf club. I spoke with Dave Fusco today about this, and he is, something that we're no longer using. I don't know if it's not working or whatnot, but he certainly doesn't need it, so he's requesting to go out, to put it out on the auction thing. This is the first thing I know he's going to be reaching out to you, because I couldn't think of the name of the company unless Karen already gave it to him. But I'll make a motion to surplus the 2010 golf cart. Second. There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. That's not a regular golf cart. That's the one of the ones they use to do the landscaping and stuff like that. Number 6, North Rockland High School sponsorship. I received a call from Dr. Gill, the principal of the high school, about 2 weeks ago, and had a discussion with him on motivational, I don't want to say motivational, I guess it's a motivational speaker. Someone who comes in, it's actually a former basketball player, I believe, in the NBA, who fell into, lost his job in the NBA because of heroin and drugs and all that kind of hardship. And he's actually a speaker now and comes to high schools, but of course it's at a cost. It's about $10,000 just to have this gentleman speak. But the work that he's done and the examples that he was giving me that day, He's certainly not asking for the $10,000, but they are looking for sponsors. So he was he sent us a letter asking for, to have someone come in, and I was suggest to the town board a donation to help pay for this. I think it's a great cause for of $1,000 to North Rockland High School.
Can I know this is going to make me the bad guy here, but we pay some of the highest taxes, school taxes in the country. They don't have a budget for this? And why do they need a guy that's going to charge $10,000 to give them a 40-minute speech?
I don't know, but I did tell him I would bring it in front of the board and take a vote on it.
I mean, look, he's trying to do the right thing, I get it, but,
I'll make it in form of a motion. Is there a second? Okay, motion doesn't carry, there's no second. Number 7, resolution for the Rockland County Solid Waste Management Authority. This is something we've been discussing for quite some time now. Sitting on the Solid Waste Authority myself, it's a motion authorizing the execution of an intermunicipal recyclables collection agreement with the Rockland County Solid Waste Authority. We thought this was a great idea, I did, because we've been paying upwards of $300,000 a year for our collections here in town. While we could have the Rockland County Solid Waste Authority do this, they do it for smaller villages and stuff. So I made that suggestion at a meeting, and they okayed it, and the same Capasso, Charles Capasso, which will be the next thing. Charles Capasso was doing this probably for 6 or 7 years in the town, does a great job, get very minimal complaints on it. And so the board agreed with it, and they voted on it, the Solid Waste Authority, I should say. That they would authorize it, they would take over this. We had a contract with, so I'll make it in the form of a motion to authorize the execution of an intermunicipal recyclables collection agreement with the Rockland County Solid Waste Authority. And again, this is at a cost that comes out of our budget of almost $300,000.
it's a savings.
To the taxpayer for Stony, for our budget, yes.
What are they going to charge us instead?
It will be the same, it will go to the solid, you'll receive it through a solid waste authority, on your solid waste authority bill, not bill, but your taxes, instead of through the town of Stony Point.
So we're still paying the same amount of money?
Yes, but you're
And
not,
it's just being charged?
it's coming through the county instead with a much, they do longer contracts and they're a much bigger company. We want to, me personally, this may be voted down, but I don't want to be in the recycles business. I think we should have that taken care of by the county and the solid waste authority, that's what they're for.
Well, what's the rate going to be?
The rate will be the same exact as what it is now. I believe it's a 5-year plan. The number 9, the next one is a 5-year, is the established, I'm sorry.
You know what, did I jump ahead? Did I do number 7?
Oh, okay, I'll just change the page. Okay, yes. So the next one, I should say, number 8, is well, we'll get into that next, but that's to have the Capasso work for the authority.
They don't have any expansion plans on the board, do they?
On what?
Expansion plans on the municipal authority?
No. All we're doing is shifting money from one municipality to the county.
They don't have the ability to create, once we...
On a unanimous vote, I might add, 17-0.
Hmm?
At the solid waste authority. No, so nothing. I'll make an informal motion to authorize the execution of an intermunicipal recyclables collection agreement with the Rockland County Solid Waste Management Authority.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Number 8 is the acknowledging the selection of Charles Capasso and Sons Carding Inc. for recyclables collection, transportation, and disposal services with the Rockland County Solid Waste Management Authority on behalf of the town of Stony Point. That is the company they went out, got 3 or 4 RFP quotes, and that is the one that was chosen. So I'll make that in the form of a motion as
I
well.
have a question, just so I'm clear. So now the county solid waste is done.
Yes.
So why do we approve?
Well, we have to approve, we have a contract with Charles Capasso that ends, I want to say June, and we have to let him, we have to give him written by the end of this year, or by the end of this month, to show that, he can't take another contract with the same thing. We have a contract with him, we basically have to break that contract, and he'll start the contract on January 1st, and again, this would take place January 1st, with the Solid Waste Authority. Instead of billing to the town of Stony Point, we would be billing the Solid Waste Authority for its collections.
Are our taxes reduced now?
Right now, it's the exact same.
But I mean, we're gonna pay for the county, are we gonna still pay the town tax?
No, this is with the other business. No, the solid waste authority voted on 17-0 to give it to the tax.
Pending their contract.
That's correct. That's correct. Solid waste authority will now be receiving bills from, bills from Capasso and Sons. They will take care of the collection. However, we're not changing anything in the town of Stony Point. We have the same contractor picking up the stuff, same hours, same time, everything else. It'll be on your solid waste authority bill and save your town taxes.
Why hasn't anybody else done this?
They have.
Oh, the other towns have.
Not other towns, smaller villages and stuff like that. That's what caught my attention while sitting on the board. We did this for, I don't remember what village it was, but there's a few other villages in the county that do this.
Is this already in Dave's budget?
Excuse me?
Is this already in Dave's budget?
This wouldn't take effect till January 1st. I don't know the answer to that. I would assume it is, but I don't know. I don't want to speak for him.
It's not an art budget.
No, it's not in our budget. Okay. There's been a motion. And was there a second on this yet? No? Okay. I'll make it a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, resolution planning committee, Tom, you take over this.
No, okay.
Okay, skip over the bike one because we did that.
This is a resolution establishing a planning committee on the town of Stony Point sesquicentennial. Was raised by Susan Figueres, Dylan Skurloff, and other residents. And we do have this milestone that we as a town and as a community are going to reach next year. And so this resolution is intended to get the ball rolling, involving the community in the planning of events that would highlight our 150th anniversary as a town. And I'll just read, whereas the year 2015 will mark the 150th anniversary of the establishment of the town of Stony Point, and whereas this important anniversary gives the town an opportunity to celebrate its rich history with a year-long series of events recognizing the people, sites, events, organizations, and environment that make Stony Point a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family. Town government requires the assistance of residents in planning and the execution of a range of activities intended to celebrate this anniversary. Be it resolved, the town shall establish a Stony Point 150th Anniversary Planning Committee. The committee shall consist of 9 individuals nominated and approved by the town board. Ex officio members of the committee shall include representatives from the town departments and agencies, including the town of Stony Point Police Department, the Wayne Hose Fire Company, the Highway Department, the Stony Point Ambulance Corps, and the Recreation Department. Nominees shall be considered for consideration and confirmed no later than December 15th, 2014. Committee members shall serve until the anniversary year concludes March 20th, 2016, and then there are some other requirements for the committee's program of work. Do I need to read them all? Okay. So I'd like to make it in the form of a motion that I move that we pass the resolution establishing a planning committee on the town of Stony Point's sesquicentennial.
Second. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
If folks have interest in serving on the committee or know people that you think would be appropriate and would be able to contribute, then please let the supervisor know and let me know, and we'll try and get these folks nominated and get moving by next month.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Number 11, I get the numbers are all mixed up here, so I apologize. Planning board request for a joint meeting. This is what George you mentioned earlier. We have a letter here from the planning board. Basically, the planning board meeting on October. I'll just read this one paragraph. The planning board would like to hold a joint public meeting between the planning board and the town board on Thursday, January 8, 2015 at 7 p.m., where the applicants have offered to provide detailed information about the proposed facility and the waste to biofuel process. This meeting would be run by the planning board, but we would like all where at least most of the town board members to also attend. The applicants plan on providing a lengthy presentation, and they will then take questions from the board members as well as the public, with a proposed 3-minute time limit for public comments. So this is just basically to get the information out there. I don't think we really have to pass a resolution or anything, but get the information out that on January 8th, 2015, at 7 p.m., yes, here, for information on the proposed gas location. Sounds good. Okay, so I'll make a motion and then so we'll do it that way. So I'll make a motion to, let's see,
Just set a public hearing?
yeah, a special meeting, on January 8th, 2015 at 7 p.m.
Second motion.
And the public will be, will be able to.
And this is what George was talking about, right? The transparency, the public getting involved in the process of this potential significant investment in the town. And the applicant is going to be giving a presentation and answering questions. So I think it's going to be very informative for all of us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make the motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry. Next, we have a resolution requesting actions regarding the Champlain Hudson Power Express. Susan, 2 weeks ago at the meeting, handed this out. We gave it to our attorneys. They went over it. We have the resolution in front of us. I don't know if Council Lujan wants to say a few words or one? Yes, if you would.
Thank you, Supervisor, members of the board. The resolution that was originally presented, I basically took that. The resolved portions of the resolution are essentially the same, whereas I kind of scaled down, took out some information. Primarily, the resolution overall is not one that involves the town board taking any particular action other than expressing opposition to the Champlain Hudson Power Express project and asking certain officials to withdraw approvals that were given for that purpose, and then authorizing the town clerk to send copies of the resolutions to various government officials. Do you have any questions, or?
Anybody have any questions for now?
Just one change, but
Okay.
after we move it, I guess I
Okay,
can make
that's
that
fine.
amendment.
Okay. No other questions, Brian? Make a motion to, for a resolution requesting actions regarding the Champlain Hudson Power Express.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion?
I just want to make one change. In the be it resolved section, paragraph 1, I think it's really important that job creation also be included in that list. So significant potential for environmental damages, property damage, economic hardship, threats to take out and, so comma, threats to job creation, and community and individual public health and safety.
So just job creation, we're adding between the two of them.
Right.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
John, you had that? I mean, if not, I'll give you, it's just a couple words I'll give you in the morning. Okay, thank you, Tom. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'd like to thank Susan for help, I know you're-
Good job, Susan.
Because I'm not sure if everyone knows Susan's against that project. Good job, Susan. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to do the budget, but there is one more add-on. I gotta read it from my phone here. Huh? It's a real quick. It's a resolution. I'll make a motion, and I will get you the wording on this. I just got this late today. A resolution authorizing special counsel to file a notice of appeal in Rockland County Supreme Court case 400-2014 regarding Article 78, regarding Article 78 to appeal. Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, this time we're going to do our last agenda item, which is our budget. And I don't know, I think everyone has this. This was handed in this week from the special districts, fire district, the special Stony Point Fire District, which is a special district. Our numbers, this is something that we don't control, but the numbers are here, so we have to look at that. You know, before we get into it, I know this is our third public meeting with this budget. And I know I was the first one came in and we made some changes on it. And I know we'll discuss a few more here tonight. But I just wanted for the, I believe I stated last time, we went back, I made the cuts that I thought were responsible, and we came in under the 2%, or not 2%, but under the tax cap. And the rates would have been, I believe, a -1, if not like 1%. I mean, a couple things. And for the homes, that was for homestead and non-homestead, I believe between 6.5 and 7, something in that sort. I felt it was a responsible budget, and I was happy with it, and that's as far as I feel that we should be drawing this budget down. We've gone over many issues, whether it be overtime or fund balances and everything else, everything we can think of. And I just, I feel that I would love to get this budget passed. It went with it passed for a preliminary budget 2 weeks ago, and I would love for it to pass here tonight. And hopefully we get that done, so we don't have to have a special meeting. We do have till, I believe, the 20th to pass this. And I'm not going to make a motion on this right now to pass this, because I don't think it will pass. But I will say for the record that I believe it's the only budget that I can vote on without taking anything out. So we'll open it up for discussion for the board.
The follow-up, excuse me, I have a power call. The follow-up from the last 2 meetings, I'm proposing the following reduction in the budget that was submitted. A $40,000 decrease in overtime, which $15,000 being reduced in the police department, $15,000 in the highway department, $5,000 in the sewer department, $5,000 in parks. A lot of these were increased due to last year's weather conditions and a lot of situations that occurred, and thereby, I think, a number of us made comments relating to this. The second recommendation is on page 2, special items, to reduce the insurance $15,000. The budget shows that the insurance went up $265,000 to $418,000. There are a lot of reasons why it went up. However, from the standpoint of just booking a high number like that, part of our responsibility is to review this and do everything we can to reduce that number. Further, there was other ideas we talked about in the past with the insurance companies, and whether we get all the brokers to look at it or we look at savings within the policies themselves, we've got a year to work that out. In addition, I'm recommending that there be a $20,000 decrease in employee benefits, split evenly between the pension, disability, and health care insurance line, which is on page 6, due to outsourcing some functions from internally to an outside third party. And the final one is, excuse me, $25,000 increased in the mortgage recording taxes on page 8 or 12. In 2013, the actual number was 398. We budgeted 375 for both 2014 and 15. And in my estimation, that the market has picked up, and I do think we will see more mortgage recording tax. So this is a proposed decrease in expense of $100,000, which should reduce both homestead and non-homestead an additional 1%. And that's my recommendation. I think that will follow.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Just one comment I'll make with the cuts and everything I won't talk about, but I will talk about your estimation of mortgage taxes. Mortgage taxes were budgeted $375 for 2014. Our projected total at the end of 2014 will be in the ballpark of 285, I believe. So we're going to be about 90,000 short this year on mortgage taxes alone. This year. We can't add another 25,000 after taking the 90,000 loss. I think you said 25. So that's a concern for me. The county has lowered their mortgage tax revenue by 20% this year.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we should be adding this year. It's not realistic numbers. We can't just make numbers up and throw them into a budget to get a lower rate. It's just not fair to the taxpayers. It's not fair to this board. You can't make up numbers and put them in to make a number, to make something work. And these are facts. I'm not picking on Jim or anything. It's just facts. The numbers are facts and they speak for themselves. So I can't possibly vote for something like that.
I stated 2 other times I disagreed with your observations.
It's not observations, they're facts.
They're not facts. 2015 hasn't happened yet. You know what the mortgage report tax is going to be. Okay, we just went through a recession. Obviously, no one's recording. Taxes were down. There were very few home sales.
But again, we
It'll
are
be worse
about
next year.
$24,000 a month for, the average for the year. It's down, I'm going to say that $95,000 hit the budget this year, just because our budget was, exceeded the expectations of what's going on. Rockland County also, based on their actuals, they're increased their 13 budget 20%. I mean, we're going to take a hit even if, that happens, so.
Thank you for your input. That's my recommendation.
And speaking of the overtime, just the police overtime, the number was cut to $275,000, they're cut bring it to $260,000. The 2009 overtime exceeded that, and 2010. I mean, now you're talking over that, 5 years without police increase.
We also dragged out 3 hirings that basically had really little impact on the overtime this year. The impact was higher as a result of the timing of the new positions coming into effect.
You haven't been in that ballpark prior to 2009. I mean, the estimate for overtime this year, the projection is $481,000. You want to cut that to $260,000 for next year? And it's just, how much of the numbers are achievable?
Thank you for your input. Mark, vote.
Anybody else?
I think our goal here is to all work together and come up with a fair and balanced budget. Appreciate all the work that you're doing. I just had a question on the benefits. Is that contractual? I don't know if we can reduce it.
No, not contractual.
It's not contractual? Okay.
But they are contractual if the employee is working. If we're to get, I'm assuming we're getting rid of some to get these numbers gone, so. I mean, yes, if someone's working for the town, then they're,
This is
we
about,
have to provide it.
this was about the limited outsourcing that we were able to discuss.
No, I know we discussed,
So
but yes,
it's not about, I think when it's phrased as employee benefits, we're not talking about union benefits, healthcare benefits, and things like that. So,
What are we
for,
talking about?
I'm sorry.
What are we talking about?
You're very well aware of what we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about looking at, exploring opportunities to outsource certain services so that it comes off of our overhead expenditure.
I think you explained it right, so it's not union benefits.
No, I don't want.
That's where
No,
concern I had.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I-
I think we need to clarify that.
And can I just point out something also, we're utilizing fund balance $175,000 in general fund this year. We're putting ourselves at the level that was, wanted to be in the reserves. Moody's, we're borrowing, advertising our pension. Moody's is gonna look at this, and they could downgrade our rating, so that when we go to borrow, we could be borrowing at a.
Why would they downgrade our rating when we have a 20% reserve?
They look at your fund balance, and they look at what's happening, they look at that you're advertising your pension, which you never did in the past, so they look at all these factors.
Right, but
And then
look,
now,
we have governments in this state that are in a significant fiscal
I
crisis.
agree with that.
We have a 20%, which is the people's money that they have already paid. And Moody's is going to look at not just how much you got in the bank, but also how you're spending the money. And it was raised with me that, well, if we needed to, let's say, we needed to pay more, let's say, into Larry's department, because we get, 20 feet of snow or something like that. Moody's doesn't look and say, well, you took below your 20%. If you've got an exigent circumstance and you're spending the money judiciously, that's what they're looking at too. So it's not just, well, if we go below a certain level, we're going to get downgraded, and we're not going to be able to buy anything or whatever. So I want to make that clear. We have, this is an austerity budget, but we also have 20%. We also have a 20% reserve, and that's your money. It's not our money. It's the money you've already paid. That's come out of your pocket. So,
I'd just like to respond to that. We do have a 20%, but the way we're budgeting this year, the proposals that I'm hearing here, at the end of 2015, it's not going to be anywhere near 20%, because the fake numbers that we're putting into this budget this year, they have to be paid. I mean, if it snows, you have to come up. If a sewer line breaks, we have to fix it, or anything else like that. That money's going to come out of our reserve. And that is definitely going to hurt our movies. And that's also our rate credit rating, our bond rating, and everything else. And if we, I don't want to say I'm 100% sure on this, but if we're putting numbers in here that aren't realistic, I can't imagine that Moody's is not going to say, well, why didn't you budget that money? Why didn't you raise that new tax rate? Why didn't you take it out of the reserve if you wanted to take it out of there? Instead of saying, I'm going to put local all my numbers in here, and then just take it out of the reserve when we need it. Because that's what we're going to have to do. We can't not pay the bills. Bills come in, you still have to pay them.
We've been nowhere near a problem of downgrading. We went through lean times, we had hardly any surplus in it, and we are the strongest town in this county from a standpoint of bond rating. We had nothing but, we refinanced bonds 3 or 4 times in the last 3 to 4 years during the worst time to be financing, and we got A-rated on everything we've done, or better. We established a 20% arbitrary reserve. This was not there during those years when we got our ratings established. So, I mean, this is not bringing our town down, putting us in despair or anything like this. It's purely looking at a budget. It's a responsibility to set a good budget and also match to it and do some work to it. Not just set a budget and then use the money because the money is there. So if we're reducing overtime for some of these other expenses, we don't look at ways of reducing overtime. Read the papers, read the other municipalities, that's what they're doing. They're doing it all, they're looking at that. Any kind of organization that has a budget looks to spend the money the best way they can. And you don't start stacking away money now for a rainy day at this point now. We do have surpluses available. I don't want to use the surpluses either. But during this year, we were proving a lot of different things here now, eating into those surpluses in hindsight. And it wasn't a concern when those things were happening. It wasn't even pointed out that it was happening in some cases. So I really think that you're misrepresenting. I do understand you want your budget. I'm just looking out for the taxpayer.
Okay, I'm not misrepresenting, but when you say you don't know, Mr. White, there's not a penny that's spent in this town that you don't sign off on. You do it.
Yeah, I realize that.
Right, so don't sit here and say, all right, that we're spending it and you didn't know about it. And if you didn't know about it, maybe you should start reading these papers in front
I
of
was
you.
told every time I voted on something, it was budgeted. Was I not? Did I not ask that every single time we vote on any payments?
Unfortunately, you did ask that. I think you should have known it.
Ooh, unfortunately, say that again?
You did ask that.
And you stated it was.
Mr. White,
That means were you wrong when you stated that?
I have
Did
never
you mislead me?
never stated that anything was budgeted that wasn't budgeted.
Okay, so then that kind of oxymoron comment they did.
Whatever you want to say. I'm going to make a motion to accept the preliminary budget as the final budget in the form of a motion.
I have a motion on the table.
I didn't.
I made a motion.
Where was our motion?
Did I make the motion with the proposal?
With everything you said?
Yeah, 15 minutes ago, yeah. I said I make the following motion, and I went through all the others.
Well, I would have no problem going back to look at that, but I certainly didn't hear a motion made.
Okay,
If the rest of the board heard it, then that's fine. But I didn't hear it.
do what you like. You're the supervisor.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the preliminary budget as the final budget. There's no second, so the motion is done. Now make it.
I'll make a motion as I just presented, $100,000 of reduction in expenses, and it's just outlined.
Can you give me that outline? I get that.
Yeah, I can give it to you. You want it now, or you just want to leave a piece of paper as on? Okay, well, I just indicated it all, but you want to read it again? Or you want to do it? Yeah, I'll give it to you right now, you're my piece of paper. It's right here, it's all listed.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second.
Discussion.
Go ahead. To accept the budget that Mr. White is proposing. I don't have the rates, I'd like to have the rates before there is a vote taken on, but we don't have the exact rates, what that would be. But $100,000 less off the preliminary budget is my understanding. Right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, there's been a motion and a second, discussion.
I think we're just trying to keep the taxes down a little bit on the ratables, on the commercial end of it, so we can bring in, commercial. Hopefully, things go correctly in the next couple of years and we get some ratables in and, so I'm gonna look at the positive side of trying to bring some good ratables in. And keeping the taxes low on the commercial side, which might help us out.
Jim, did you have something?
I was just going to say, like some of the department heads, I see Larry, I see you, how does this affect your operation?
Well, depends on the weather. It's adversely affected. I can't predict what the weather's gonna be.
But you're going to get what you need anyway. I mean, if you need it. It's
You know,
just-
that comment right there speaks for itself. You're gonna get it anyway. So we'll make up numbers and we'll put them in a budget, but we'll give it to you anyway.
Right.
Isn't that what the budget's about?
You're raising taxes on
Where you getting it from?
businesses. You're raising taxes on businesses for the purposes of budgeting money that you don't know that we're going to need. We're not decreasing his budget. We're not cutting his budget in this proposal. We're increasing it based on a perception of what may happen, a hypothetical. Which I don't think you should be raising taxes, particularly on commercial properties and commercial business owners and large-scale investments based on a hypothetical. We have the reserve. If he needs salt, he's going to get salt. Yeah, he's still going to get his salt. But again, this has to do with whether or not the town should be asking for more money up front. And that's what, if you look, you and I, we talked about this. We've got a pattern of behavior here that we have to do something about. Specific, in particular, when you've got me and other people who are trying to meet with developers and potential investors into this community, for us to be able to vote for a budget that would put our increase of commercial property taxes over the last 5 years at more than 25%. So again, and Jeff, I'm not picking on you, okay? I'm just expressing my view.
Listen, I'm not looking for any praise.
No, I know, but
I'm not looking for any praise, and you can pick on me all you want.
that's not what this is
That's
about.
part of the job. I can handle it.
But, again, we're talking about raising taxes again. There are pay raises for all the elected officials in here, midterm pay raises. This is a philosophical thing.
It's not politicking, and let's vote on the budget.
We have wonderful elected officials in this town. They're fantastic. I have a philosophical thing. I think that our policy should be changed, that they're at the end of a term. Even Congress isn't allowed to give themselves a pay raise midterm. But we've got pay raises for elected officials in here. I philosophically cannot vote for that.
And you shouldn't be voting for his budget, because it's in there.
Oh, I know. But, so those two issues, for me, I'm just expressing my opinion to the public, and they deserve to know where I am. I agree with Mr. White on some of the overtime numbers. And then we've got other issues that Karen, who, by the way, Karen got dumped into the deep end of the pool on all of this, and she's done a wonderful job. She's only been on the job for a couple of months, and she's had to deal with all of this, and she's done a terrific job. But she and I have talked about some other things. So, that's where I am on all of this. And, I'm happy to hear everybody else's comments.
Anybody else? Okay, there's a motion and a second. There's no more discussion. Madam Clerk, we'll take a roll call.
Councilman Priscilli?
No.
Councilman Jacobs?
Yes.
Councilman White?
I'll wait to,
And I'm going to defer back to you.
yes.
Councilman Monahan?
Yes.
Supervisor Finn?
No. So the budget passes. Okay. In that? Right. Okay, that being said, we'll make a motion to close the meeting, and again, remember that we're, make a motion to close the meeting in honor of all of our Stony Point veterans.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Executive. Motion to go to executive session. Thank you. No vote. No, there will be no vote after executive session. We have a contract.
Cheers, not the best thing in the world.